Hop up on my shoulder for a ride through my workday, November 2nd, 2012. I don't set an alarm as my body clock lets me know what time to get up. Normally, I wake up between 5 and 5:30. Usually, I head straight out onto the porch to check the weather conditions, looking up through the trees to see if any stars are visible in winter. My bare feet tell me if we've had any precipitation and how cold it is. Next, I check my 2 weather stations, plus Environment Canada's website to formulate a forecast. I enter that and the birthdays for today, then head for the washroom. Breakfast is normally 2 slices of toast with peanut butter and jam, and a large cup of instant coffee with some milk, out of the big mug given to me by my last grade 6 class in 1997, or the identical one Lanny gave me when he attended Grant MacEwan College. I get all my paperwork ready for the day and usually leave the house by 7:30 at the latest. The work van was loaded when I came home yesterday, so I slide the shop door open, climb in, and head out for another day. Normally I stop in Knighton to pick up my mail, but this morning a friend has called to discuss a few issues, so I go past Knighton onto my first job. It's nice having an earbud to be able to chat while still having 2 hands on the wheel. The road is good, but it's not long before I run into fog and ice starts to build up on the windshield. I crank up the defroster fan to high and squirt -30 windshield washer to melt the ice. It clears off quickly, but the defroster will have to stay on high to prevent any more ice buildup. I pull into my first job north of Piers and let Lori know that I have to go. It's still dark outside, so I carry my flashlight around the cabin to see what the problem is with their dish. You'd better duck your head as I go under these low spruce branches, or you'll get knocked off my shoulders. Here's the problem. The dish post has rotted and fallen over, and it looks like the dogs have eaten the cable to the cabin. I think we should mount the dish on the garage and run the cable through the trees. 45 minutes later, and the job is done. I let Christy's nanny know that her cabin now has TV, and I'm off to do my next job. Once I'm in a better cell service area, I call my next customer to see if her mortgage was approved. Unfortunately, Superstorm Sandy has shut down the operations of the mortgage office in Toronto, and she doesn't have approval yet, so that job will get set aside for next week. I make my way into town for one of the most unpleasant aspects of my job. When I picked up the mail yesterday afternoon, I had an NSF check returned, which means a visit to the customer. I guess now I understand why the customer kept flipping the checks back and forth before writing out my check. I knock on the door and let her know that her check was returned, stamped with insufficient funds. "Are you sure?" "Yep, and I won't surrender the check until she pays with cash plus an NSF fee. Fortunately, I haven't had one of these for quite a while. It bothers me if someone owes me money, for whatever reason, and doesn't pay, or at least contact me to let me know there is a problem. 2 days after Halloween. Time to head to Extra Foods and pick up several cases of candy, 50% off, to hand out at the next Edson trade show. I take in a couple pocketfuls of pens and hand these out as I make my way around the store. More smiles planted, more smiles harvested. I also pick up some sandwiches, salad, and a drink. At checkout, I see a couple little kids bemoaning the fact that they can't have any candy. Mom reminds them there is lots at home, left over from Halloween. I check quietly with Mom if it's okay to give them some of my fruit treats. I bring out my knife, cut the top off one of the boxes, and the kids are smiling. A couple extra packs in Mom's handbag for emergencies, and I'm off to the ATB Bank to find out who won the bald eagle painting I donated to the Edson Animal Rescue Society. It's funny because the winner is the son of one of my former students, who had posted the day before, "Pick me, pick me." I give Derek a call and he is very pleasantly surprised. Phone rings and my customer asks if I brought the PVR he had ordered. "Yep, I'll wait for you in the parking lot." He pulls up next to my van. We make the exchange, discuss a few aspects of the latest model of PVR, and I'm off again, this time to the farmer's market, to deliver the donations cash envelope to Terry Ruddick for ears. I take in a box of pens and make my way around to every booth and customer in the hall. Many thank me for the good quality pens. One senior lady says, "You don't know me, but I know you from the stories I hear and from your picture in the paper. Congratulations on your Citizen of the Year award." Huge smile. I make my way to Terry's table and am greeted with a big hug. We have a chat about her new business, and I'm off to the health unit with special pens for all the personnel. We thank you for being a positive role model for our school and community. I remember my days as a teacher and the nurses coming to my classroom to help the students in many different aspects of health. Yes, some of those visits were 20 years ago, but I remember them fondly. Off to the RBC Bank to resolve an issue with my bank statement. More pens handed out, more joking with the staff, more smiles exchanged, as well as pens handed out, and I'm off. I turn right, go past the restaurant, hesitate, turn around, walk toward my van, call myself a chicken, turn around again, and head down the street to visit an old friend who has opened a new store. I did some work for Leona before the store was open and donated a couple of items for door prizes. I hesitate at the door and then decide, what the heck, I'm old enough to go in. Once through the door, I'm careful to go straight to the counter and look Leona in the eyes, making sure my eyes don't do any browsing. You see, I have just walked into a store called In Your Drawers, and the walls are lined with hundreds of bras and panties and other fine underwear. What's that old man doing in that store? I have a good chat with Leona and Amanda behind the counter, give them some pens, and am on the way out when the phone rings. "John, I can't get my satellite working. I pressed some buttons and now nothing will work." "No problem. I'll be there in a bit," as she's only a few kilometers out of town. She is clearly frustrated when I arrive. I calm her down. We walk through the steps of getting everything working, and when she feels comfortable, I take the remote and put everything as wrong as I can possibly make it, then say, "Okay, get it working." For a lady in her senior years, she does quite well, and is smiling as I leave. She says she didn't want to call for help, but her older sister told her, "Call John. He came back 5 times before I knew how to work everything." Let's hop back in the truck. I want to take you to one of my all-time favorite people to drop off something I know she will enjoy. Dang, her car isn't home, so I leave my items on her doorstep. Back into the van and off to a home out of town to do an estimate on a wood heater and chimney. I don't do installations anymore, as that is too hard on my back, but I can supply all the materials he needs. He isn't home, so I call. He just made a quick trip into town and will be back shortly. I do a quick check of Facebook, and there are 2 messages which leave me smiling. One is from the mom at Extra Foods who thanks me for the treats for her kids. She just happens to be one of my 989 Facebook friends. Another is from Debbie, thanking me for leaving the treats on her doorstep. Man, I must have missed her by only a few minutes. Oh well, them's the breaks. Customer still isn't home yet, so I walk to his barnyard to see a menagerie of animals, ranging from all kinds of birds to goats, alpacas, even an ostrich. The ostrich is right in front of me when the goat arrives, and the ostrich gives him a big bonk on the top of the horns with his beak. Man, is that ever loud. Doesn't bother the goat. Oh man, that drink has worked its way through my system, and there is no outdoor biffy here. Oh well, nobody around and lots of snowbanks available. Hey, no looking down, ladies. Customer arrives. We determine his needs and give him a quote. I question him about the variety of animals. The most interesting is his story about the alpacas. He saw an ad in the paper, phoned the guy and asked, "How much?" He was surprised at the reply. "Come and take as many as you want, no charge." Customer takes a trailer and loads 20 alpacas. The guy tells him that he bought the alpacas for $5,000 for a breeding pair and had them transported from Bolivia. Now the market crashed and the animals are worth about $35 for meat, so he'd rather see them kept as pets than see them butchered for meat, so no charge. Well, since I can't do the install for the lady whose mortgage wasn't approved yet, I stop in at a job I'll be doing on Monday to find out what I need to bring. One of the business owners, Dale, is a longtime family friend. When I arrived in Knighton in 1977, this young lad had just quit school, borrowed a couple $1,000s from his grandpa, and bought a used dozer. That took a lot of guts for a young lad 35 years ago. Now he is part owner of a very successful business, and I am so proud of this young man and honored to be called a friend of the Greisick family. I find out what I'll be doing on Monday, then off to Walmart to get more goodies at 50% off, since extra food selection was getting pretty thin. My pockets are full of pens again, and I load up on my cart with several more cases of Halloween treats for the trade show. These are excellent giveaways. Soon my pens are all gone, and I'm going through checkout. As soon as my boxes are paid for, I cut the top off one and start handing them out to the customers and workers. More smiles planted and harvested. Man, this is fun. One more stop to see some nice ladies where I made a purchase the previous day, and they had me sign my name on a big piece of paper. She explained that they were going to display this on the wall with a sign that said, "Citizen of the Year shops here." Of course, I'm very flattered by this gesture, so I bring some chocolate treats in for the ladies. The boss lady picks out a couple of Wonder Bars, and I tell Cindy to take a couple handsful. This results in a big hug, so win-win for me. I bid my goodbye, go out to the truck, get a whole box of treats, come back in the other door, so now I'm standing behind Cindy without her realizing it. The customers and servers see me standing right behind her, but don't let on. When she turns around, I scare the bejeebers out of her, as she is almost a foot shorter than I am and sees a solid wall behind her when she turns around. We all have a good laugh, and then she says, "You're lucky I didn't punch you out. I was so scared." We all have a good laugh, and I head out the door and off for one more stop. At the vet's, I dump a bunch of chocolate treats on the counter. You see, when Lanny and Jen's dog had to have a leg amputated, they provided the best care for Carter, and he has adapted so well to his three-legged life. This is just a small way of saying thanks, even though the operation was almost 3 years ago. More smiles, big ones. A 45-minute drive, and we arrive home just after 5 p.m. I hope you enjoyed your ride on my shoulder and this little peek into one day in the life of John.